ख़वातीन और हज़रात, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मैं हूँ आपका होस्ट ऑन नकवी और हम आपकी खिदमत में पेश हुए एक और एपिसोड के साथ, इस उम्मीद के साथ कि आपको हमारे प्रोग्राम पसंद आ रहे होंगे और यकीनन हमें आपकी आरा का इंतज़ार रहता है। हमारा ईमेल एड्रेस आप अपनी स्क्रीन पर देख रहे होंगे, umeed@ajusa.tv। नाज़रीन, 9/11 का एक ऐसा वाक़या इस दुनिया में हुआ जिसके बाद दुनिया ओवरऑल चेंज हो गई और ख़ास तौर पर अमेरिका में उसने बहुत गहरे असरात छोड़े। उसके बाद यकीनन अमेरिका में रहने वाले मुस्लिम्स के हालात ज़िंदगी बहुत हद तक चेंज हो गए और उन्हें बहुत सारे ऐसे वाक़यात का सामना करना पड़ा जो उनके लिए कर्ब का बायस बने। 9/11 जहाँ बहुत सारे बुरे असरात छोड़ के गया, वहाँ कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें भी हुई जिन्होंने अमेरिकन मुस्लिम्स के लिए नए रास्ते खोले और बहुत सारी ऐसी तंजीमें वजूद में आईं जिन्होंने अमेरिकन मुस्लिम्स को हेल्प करने के लिए और इस क्राइसिस से निकालने के लिए अपना किरदार अदा किया और अभी तक कर रहे हैं। नाज़रीन, इसी सिलसिले में हम आज जिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से आपका तारुफ करवा रहे हैं वो है कोपो और आज उनके एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं। आइए हम उनका तारुफ आपसे करवाते हैं। अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
मोहम्मद रिजवी साहब, वेलकम ऑन द शो। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर कमिंग ओवर।
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be on the show.
So, would you like to tell us a little bit about how Kopo formed?
Absolutely. I still remember the day, the attacks that had happened, and literally the ashes that were coming from all the way down from Manhattan, all the way to Little Pakistan in Brooklyn. They were coming and floating as I was working in the center, which now has become Kopo.
Okay. So it was already working at that time?
It wasn't working at that time. I was building because I used to do business development.
Okay.
So it was one of the business ventures that I was going to do, which was going to become Punjab Fabrics.
Okay.
Because I run
so
a store.
from working to make a garment store, it turned to an organization to help the communities.
It turned into
How
an
it
organization. Well, most importantly, because of my father. My father, he owns Punjab Grocery. And if you know anyone in Brooklyn or anyone even in different states, they know where Punjab Grocery is. Punjab Grocery, where my dad used to be and is still there, he helped people. Anytime a person came from Pakistan, my dad always tried to help them. I remember when I was growing up, every now and then I had an uncle from Pakistan and my dad was helping him. And it was just the continuous efforts that my dad did. Because of the work that my dad did and because of the businesses we had, people, when the attacks happened and people were being picked up by law enforcement agency, they didn't just go to anyone and say, my husband's arrested, my son got arrested. They came to my dad, they came to the businesses within Coney Island Avenue.
So what you are trying to say is that you guys hold a social work position in Brooklyn, that people have been coming to you only? Why is it so?
It's not just us, but most importantly, it's the people that they trust. And that's the key factor. The people, they trusted us. They came to our stores for help, and then some of the business members within the community, they said, let's do something and help the community. And we'll just open up a temporary organization, and that's it. And we were thinking that's the same thing. And I can go on having my fabric store. But what turned into be a temporary organization, for the next 2 years, I ended up volunteering over there, and I was trying to juggle all these other businesses that I was doing. Ultimately, I had to sell off all my businesses, give it to my brother. I was running a grocery store, a 99-cent store, a bookstore, restaurant, and construction company.
So you're trying to say that being a successful businessman, you left everything and you turned back to the community work?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. And more importantly, I had the support from my father. I had the support from the other business directors who were in that community. And they're the ones who actually helped to support Kopo, and continuously still support them.
So you were the co-founder. Who all were there with you to make this thing happen?
So it was Slamat Ali, Shafiq Hassan, Abbas Razvi, it was my other brother Ahmed Razvi, and myself.
So would you like to tell our audience what are your signature projects and how you break down when you give the...
The most important thing in our projects, when we first started, it was helping the community regarding legal issues. Until today, we still have monthly legal clinics free for all of our community members. Till today, 12 years passing. One of the most important things we started then was ESL classes, and we still have ESL classes, computer classes. As we started to help the people with these computer classes and ESL classes, they told us they had problems with their kids, youth issues. We have a 10,000 square foot backyard. We started helping, and still today, we still help the youth. Now we're finding out, just last year, we have our seniors, our Muslim seniors who are in such dire need. And the sad part is, these are the seniors who came into this country about 25 years ago. Oh, I'm going to work here for 5 years, and I'm going to go back. That never happened. They stayed, and the most important thing is they never saved any money for their retirement. And we're finding out they're the ones. So we opened up the first Muslim senior center. During this time, we found out what happened with Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
We have over 200 families of Muslim families who are affected by Hurricane Sandy were not getting help. We actually distributed over $400,000 to those families in goods and in cash as well, till today, and we're still continuing. But these are the major projects we're working on.
So after 9/11, there are so many other things which happened, and one of the things was that people changed their names. And what do you think about anybody changing name from Muhammad to Mo?
Well, most importantly, after 9/11, every time a person came to my office and they needed help with city and state and federal officials, when I made a phone call and I said, this is Mohammed Razvi, and I need help for Ahmed Khan, I already had a barrier I had to cross because all the city and state federal agencies, everyone else, were looking at Muslim names as, big problem. Then when I called back and I said, this is Mo Razvi, I need help with Mr. Ahmed Khan, I'm the executive director, they said, no problem, what do you need help with?
So that means if you're calling somebody's calling in any federal agency saying I'm Mohammed, you think it's a big issue?
At this time it isn't, but at that time there was.
Okay.
At that time I had to service, and do you know how many people? We had to service 1,200 people who were in special registration program. We're the ones who actually held the most amount of legal clinics with 3 different attorneys from Legal Aid, from New York Civil Liberties Union, and from Asian American Legal Defense Fund. They all came to our office, and our office was packed with people. And we just want to make sure they all got services.
So what is your community education program? Would you like to tell something about that?
Well, the education program, there's youth program that we do. The most important thing is because we found that our youth was now afraid of any city-state agency. Whether it's a police officer, whether it's a social worker, whether it's any type of agency, they were so afraid. And we're like, this is not what we want. I do not want my kids growing up in the United States thinking that all of a sudden, let's just say, for example, you're driving a car and you see a police car behind you. All of a sudden you get nervous.
Yeah.
I do not want our kids to grow up to be nervous every time they see any city, state, or federal agency. That's not the case.
But your critic says that, is it okay to put the teenage kids with the federal agents? You arrange a program in which you make them sit side by side with these federal agents where nobody was supervised them what to say and what not to say to these agents?
Well, each agency that's coming to that huge event, first of all, it's schools and principals and their teachers and their chaperones who are coming together. So it is supervised.
They were supervised.
It is supervised. Secondly, any type of conversation, it's all supervised. And it's all for all these kids. We don't want our kids to be nervous anywhere. They're American kids. They have the right to know. They have the right to ask questions. And that's exactly what they did.
So you think that made a difference when they had an interaction with these federal agents?
Absolutely. When they have interaction, whether with the federal agencies or whether they are okay, they feel, no, we can talk to an officer, or yes, we can talk to an agent. Yes, we should not be afraid. These are our rights, and these are the things that we can do. They are more empowered. Many of the students, when they were even, and this is a cultural thing that happens on the other side, when the agents see hijabi little girls who are wearing music and they're just, just average Americans, they're like, oh my God, these are average American kids, what we were thinking. It's a teaching lesson for both sides.
So both sides. And
it's a win-win situation. And the kids, most importantly, gain the most because they are empowered. They don't have to be nervous behind the police, if they're driving a car. No, you should not be nervous. You didn't do anything wrong.
Copo has been doing the youth programs and the career programs too. What achievements did you achieve so far? How many kids you put in internships or jobs?
So the most important thing, At the moment, we have every year, we have 25 to 50 kids who are actually enrolled into our youth program itself. The career day, we have over 500 kids that come and enjoy, and they get a chance to see.
Yeah, that's
what are
my
the
question
career.
is that how many out of those 500 been able to secure something?
So out of the 500, so these are kids who are into high school and going on to college. So we know many of them, they want to become, go to, let's just say if they're interested in criminal justice.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, this is what we can do. I can do this. Many of them did do that. But in the core where I can give you data, the 25 kids who are in our youth program annually, of those kids, some of them got $100,000 grants for their colleges. They got $50,000 grants. They get $25,000 grants. Because of the services they were doing, they're just enhanced. And this is the most important thing we do to them, for them to understand it's a possibility and you can definitely do it.
So, Mr. Rizvi, who funds COPO? Is it the U.S. government?
No. So COPO gets funding in 4 different locations from 4 different sectors: city, state, federal, private foundations, and private individuals.
Okay.
The most important thing is anyone who wants to research on COPO, they can go out on our website, and then they can go to New York State Registry of Charities.
Yeah.
And that's a registry which is open. We are a non-for-profit. Our funds are disclosed. Every penny that we get, where do we get it from? So we are not funded from the U.S. government. We're funded from city, state, and federal grants that we do request and we write for, and we do help others to get those grants.
So you mean anybody from Brooklyn can walk up someday and want to see the funds COPO spending on different projects?
They can go online. They don't even have to come to my office. They can go online, and it's every year, annual report is written up at the end of the year, which is online, and it's in the database. I have to register, and every nonprofit registers. They can just go online.
So if I ask you what is the major achievement you achieved so far, there was some award 2008. What was that? COPO did receive some.
There's multiple awards. I mean, just yesterday or 2 days ago, we just received another award, Kings of Kings County. COPO just received an award. So in 2008, I don't remember how many different awards, but which specific award are you talking about?
So now COPO is actually working within New York on outside America
COPO
as well?
right now is working predominantly within New York.
Within New York.
But because of the efforts that we were able to do to build relationships with city, state, and federal, and our Christian neighbors, our Jewish neighbors, we build relationships to make them understand, hey, we exist. If there's a problem in your community, we will help you. If there's a problem in our community, please help us.
Because one of the major critical angle of your critics is that you are seen more with other communities than the Muslim community.
Well, see, this is the thing. Our prophet always said to make sure you also look after your neighbors.
Okay.
So my neighbors, which is in Pakistan, is the heart of the Muslim community. Guess who's my neighbor? It's a Jewish community, a large Jewish community.
In Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn, side by side.
Okay.
So I have to look at my neighbors. If they have some problems, I should pay attention to that. If there's problems in the Muslim community, then I request even them. I mean, you must have heard.
So you request them for any assistance for Muslim community?
Most importantly, what I ask them is when there's problems that are happening in my community. For example, there was a mosque, Al-Khouy Center, that was just bombed. With
there were cracker bombs in the yard of Al-Khouy. Yeah.
Right. So guess who I called? I called the Jewish community.
Okay.
I called the Christian community. I said, I want you to stand next to our community in support because someone attacked us, because I was a Muslim, because my mosque is Islamic. They came. First time in history, the Jewish community, ADL, stood in a mosque defending it. First time in history, the Jewish Relations Council stood in that mosque defending it. Not only them, also the Christians and also the Buddhists and also the Sikh community. And you can see that. And this is what we were able to do together. And this is the thing. If there's an attack on any individual, doesn't matter which religion you're from, which creed you're from, you have to go and stand with them. And that's what I've done. And because of that, they understand that we need to work together, especially if they're going to attack me because I'm a Muslim, so that same person is going to attack the Christian because he's Christian, or the Hindu, or the Jew.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's time for a short break. When we come back, we'll ask Mr. Razvi what he has plans for future. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host on Nakvi, and we have very distinguished guest tonight, Mr. Razvi here from Copa, New York, and we are having very good information from him. So, Mr. Razvi, would you like to tell what specific things you did for the Muslim community in Brooklyn?
Well, absolutely. I mean, just not in Brooklyn, but throughout the 5 boroughs. One of the key things our board members emphasized, and when we started to understand that, there's a gap for the Muslim community, is to be empowered with the city, state, and elected officials.
So that means you are interacting the people who are afraid to go to these offices. You are encouraging them.
I don't think it was the afraid. I think they weren't able to
No, because
connect.
community was afraid after 9/11.
They were afraid after 9/11, but prior to that, they didn't have concrete connections also
Okay.
with elected officials. So what we did was we started to help our community members just to hold dinners and iftar dinners during Ramadan with the respective borough presidents.
Okay.
We did it in Brooklyn, we did it in the Bronx, we did it in the Queens, we did it even in Staten Island, where is a Republican borough president. I mean, these are the initiatives that we push. Our board members were always emphasizing this is how the community will gain strength. They will be able to voice their concern even more. Sitting next to the borough president and telling their concerns, whether it is issues that are pertaining to the Muslim community for this subject or this subject, domestic violence, youth problems, ESL classes, computer classes, citizenship problems. And that's what we were doing. And we have successfully done that, and it's been continuous. And we're very happy with that. Other things we did, we wanted to make sure our community members, if they have some concern, we bring people to the table. It didn't make a difference if it's city, state, federal, or law enforcement from city, state, or federal. And that's what we've been pushing on.
Mr. Razvi, a few of your critics, they say Copo is a launching pad for your path to your future political gains. What do you say about that?
Well, let me put it this way. Most importantly, Copo, I never thought that I would run for election, first of all. And when I did run for election, within 1 month, I raised $130,000.
So you did run for election?
I ran. I was the first Muslim Pakistani to run for city council in the 40th district of Brooklyn.
Okay.
I already ran.
Before starting Copo?
No, in 2007.
Okay.
The important thing was, at that moment, you're not going to believe it, I was also attending college. When I talked to my professors, political science professors, they said, Mohammed, you have to run. Quit your job and just run. I said, but I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
They said, you're not going to win, your community will win. And that's exactly what happened.
So what is the difference you saw before and after you ran for that office? What impact it brought to the community?
Biggest impact to the community was this. Everyone realized, all the city-state agencies or political individuals, committee members, that there is a possibility, even after 9/11, Muslims can run for election, and we have to make sure we are catering to their community. We have to make sure that they do have help. Make sure that they do also get grants. Make sure they do get this, and absolutely.
So you thought it as more of running for some position, it was more of confidence building for the community.
Absolutely, and after I ran, I was so happy to see other Muslim brothers and sisters ran. And that's the key. Because every brother and Muslim brother and sister, they were afraid. And my heart goes out to all the ones who ran, because they sometimes feel, and this is what they have to understand, it's not about you winning, it's about the community winning. Because they were able to have a candidate who was legitimate, who raised money, and more importantly, stayed on the ballot.
Mr. Razvi, there's another very critical angle of NYPD stop and frisk policy, and it is said that you are pro to Commissioner Ray Kelly's this.
Stop and frisk is something that definitely needs to be viewed at.
And you're pro to stop and frisk?
No, stop and frisk is something, it's a policy which definitely that needs to be revisited.
Okay.
And they have to take care of that. That is something which and I'll say it very clearly, I haven't heard many Muslim community members coming to me and saying they were stopped and frisked.
Yeah.
However, just like I said, our neighbors, when they have issues, I think we should stand by them, and absolutely. If that is something that they need to revisit, absolutely.
So what Copo can provide any help if somebody is discriminated by NYPD or any federal agency? What is Copo's role in that?
So I'm so glad you asked. I have in my phone an NYPD officer who has an issue. who was discriminated against.
An NYPD officer?
Yes.
Oh.
And I'm working on that case at this
So
moment.
he came to Copo
He came to Copausa
to resolve that issue.
to resolve that issue. And I'm working on that case. I can't go into details, but I can let you know, yes, absolutely. And community members do come to us. For example, you're not even aware of perhaps, do you know that in Brooklyn there was somebody ripped up Quran?
Yeah, I heard
You
that.
heard about
yeah,
that?
That ripped up Quran and threw it on the road.
Threw it all over
Yeah.
the road. So it's a big issue for us, right?
Yeah.
Community members came to us, other leaders came together, and we explained to them, we have to take us one step at a time. Let's do the investigation. Don't just go on the media and just make a huge
Scene out of it.
Do you know why? Because anytime something small is affecting us, and this is affecting us in the worst way that, we are very emotional about it, but we told our leaders, just let's at least get the investigation going. As the investigation going, as it happened, so guess what the result was? It turns out it was a Muslim individual who was mentally challenged who was tearing up those Qurans.
It was a Muslim,
It was a Muslim.
but he was mentally retarded.
He had mental issues.
Okay.
And it was a Muslim. And then the police department invited the community back, showed them this is the person, this is the evidence. Now, did you ever hear of investigating officers or the NYPD giving back evidence? They said, because this is a holy book, we know what it means to you guys. Here's the evidence. Our case has been resolved and it's closed, but you can take the evidence and disperse it how you feel is Islamic.
So, Mr. Asvi, how do you differentiate Copo with the crowd of other non-governmental organizations which are in a run to get the donations? So you think, what is the difference between Copo and there's so many in Brooklyn?
Well, this is the thing. We help others. We actually funded 5 other non-government organizations.
So you're partnered with,
We funded them.
you funded them.
I funded others. Arab American Family Support Center, Arab American Association, Mass Youth Center, and 2 others I don't remember them off the top of my head. We funded them because we explained to them, these are grants that are available. If we receive the grant, I explained to them, why don't you work with us so we can also get you more money? And that's our concept, is to help our other organizations because there's not enough. We have over 1 million Muslims. And there's only one Copo, and there's other groups, but we want more than just, a handful of Muslim organizations. The more better we can do for our community. At this moment, we are servicing so many people, and I just can't do it by myself. We have a staff of 16 people, and we're able to try to serve as much as we can. But other groups, we're explaining to them, this is how you write grants. This is how you can get grants. These are the steps you have to take. You cannot be lobbying for one issue or too much or the other because then you are out of that sector. And we are helping. We have 3 organizations that are under our umbrella, and we're supporting them, and we're going to continue with them.
So how much of your donation goes in the administrative cost for Copo?
Donation, I would say it's 75% is administrative costs because we have 16 people who are hired staff.
So they get paid through those donations?
They get paid through the donations. They get paid through city, state, governmental grants. Absolutely.
So that means most of the donations going to the administrative cost.
Is the personnel that's hired to do the work. Case manager. I have for Hurricane Sandy, for example.
Yeah.
I have 10 people that are hired for Hurricane Sandy. 6 of them are always full staff. The other 4 are part-time staff. They're all paid.
So my point is that when you see most of these relief groups and these organizations, they actually like to work on the volunteers, whereas
Okay, so
your most of your working is on the paid salaried people. So is it not, you're taking out of the donations for the salaries of these people?
No.
That money could have been used on people.
So the thing is, the grants are set up in that manner. For example, the staff that I have, that I just explained to you, the 10 staff that I have, they were able to find resources for 200 plus families. How much of that resource? $400,000 worth, and then distribute it. So this is how it works. If you write a grant, because the grant, the way it's structured, it's for personnel. But If, for example, when we started to do the Hurricane Sandy efforts first, we had no money. We had 25 volunteers.
So there was no paid person.
There was no paid person for the Hurricane Sandy efforts at that time. I had 25 volunteers. I had churches working with me. I had individuals, Muslim community members working with me. And we were just helping and helping and helping. So we did the emergency response, immediate response, but for the long term, there's a process you have to take. Okay, so you don't have rent, we're gonna figure out how to get you rent. Okay, so you don't have furniture because it got flooded, we're gonna figure out which agency can get you furniture. During Hurricane Sandy, we were finding out many of our members, especially the Muslim community members, were afraid to register with FEMA because of the badges that FEMA representatives were wearing. So we told them, remove your badges and sit down, and we will help to translate so our members can register with FEMA, so they can be entitled to the services and to the income and sources that they are entitled to. And I can tell you right now, if you have any individual who is affected by Hurricane Sandy, and it doesn't matter which group they're from, we will still help them.
You're still helping them?
We are still helping them. And it's a continuous effort. Just last week, we gave out $50,000 worth of cash and goods to Hurricane Sandy victims.
You're giving cash as well?
Cash as well.
And what is the criteria? How do you identify that this person is not scamming you or he's the real?
So they have to have the proof of documentation. They have a previous bill from that address, zip codes. It's everything is, these are the questions that are asked. It's not just like giving it away.
So I knew that after Hurricane Sandy, there was a lot of the parts of Brooklyn which was affected badly. Absolutely. So what about those people who lost their homes?
So the ones, for example, I have one client who lost half of her home. Half of her home.
Okay.
So we were able to get her $100,000 so she can rebuild that home.
From FEMA?
No. This is from other resources we've been working with. It's not just from FEMA. So my DCM workers, disaster case management workers, they're hired to find other resources, foundations, wherever there can be resources.
And then you investigate that the case is genuine?
No, the case, that's the DCM's.
They're meant for.
That's what their job is.
Okay.
So they are the ones who actually collect the data, and they have to put things together.
They go on locations?
They go on locations, they sit down with the client, they visit them once, twice.
They visit the site?
Exactly. Jerry Seinfeld, his wife, runs baby buggies. She donated over $25,000 worth of goods and cash for these victims. Through Copo, yes.
Through Copo.
Yes. That's the thing we're able to do. Put all the resources together and get the services. Zuchi is a Chinese organization that helped to fund all these members who were affected over $100,000 just through Copo. And we're able to do that.
So, Mr. Rizvi, where do you see Copo after 10 years?
God willing, inshallah. In 10 years, first of all, I hope I'm retired. But more importantly, we do see that the need is great, and we want to empower our other groups, because every community has their groups that needs to be empowered. Whether it's
so you can stand somebody coming up and standing side to side with Copo. You fine with that?
Absolutely. This is the sad part. Our community members do not understand. If we stand shoulder to shoulder, we are more empowered to get the services for our community, and perhaps even talk about issues that are abroad that are affecting our community members.
So, Mr. Rizvi, thank you very much, and we appreciate Copo's work for the community, and we hope that you keep doing it. It's a great work, keep doing it. नाज़रीन, इसके साथ ही हम प्रोग्राम के अख्ताम की तरफ पहुँचते हैं, और जैसा कि आपने बहुत ही मालूमाती सेशन आपने देखा, और इससे साबित ये हुआ कि हमें यहाँ पे एक आज़ाद मुल्क है, यहाँ किसी से खौफज़दा होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। ये आप अपने राइट के लिए निकल सकते हैं, आप किसी भी ऑफिस में जा सकते हैं, आपको किसी से डरने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। ये एक आज़ाद मुल्क है, और फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच का जो राइट अमेरिका में है वो शायद पूरी दुनिया में कहीं भी नहीं है। तो कोपो बहुत सारा काम कर रही है ब्रुकलिन में भी और सराउंडिंग एरियाज़ में भी सैंडी अफेक्टेड लोगों के लिए। आप इनके ऑफिस में जाएं, इनके गूगल कर सकते हैं आप, और इनसे बहुत सारी मालूमात और बहुत सारी रिलीफ जो ये लोगों को प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं। अगर आप इफ़ेक्टेड हैं तो आप भी ले सकते हैं। इस उम्मीद के साथ आपसे इजाज़त चाहूँगा कि अपनी आरा से आप हमें आगाह करेंगे। हमारा ईमेल एड्रेस आप अपनी स्क्रीन्स पर देख रहे होंगे, umeed@ajusa.tv। हमें आपकी ईमेल्स का इंतज़ार रहेगा। अपना और अपने गिरदनवा का ख्याल रखिएगा। खुदा हाफिज़।